And next we have Daniel in the lion's den, because he chose not to bow down and worship their God. There had been a decree about bowing down to the king, worshiping him. And Daniel went on about his way, going to his window facing the east, praying every day and worshiping his own God. So some of the king's people tried to get Daniel in trouble and say, well, he ain't doing what you decreed, so you got to do something to him, else you'll look bad in front of the people. So the king really didn't want to do it, actually. But he said, well, I can't look bad in front of people. And they took him in there and throwed him in the lion's den and rolled a stone in front and all that. The king came down there sometime later and had the stone rolled away, and they looked in there and he called to Daniel, and Daniel answered back. And Daniel, because of that testimony, because he figured, what does he have to lose? Either I go die and I die believing, or God's going to show up and do something, So he chose to take the gamble and said, what do I have to lose? And because of that, the king decreed that everybody would worship Daniel's God. And then we move on to David and Goliath. Even though he was like the youngest of 8 children in his family, and looked like he got all the menial jobs around, So he put him on the backside of a mountain with some those sheep and stuff, and make him spend the cold nights and the winters and all that out there doing the menial task. But little did they know he was going to be a mighty man of God. He went through some tests and some trials back there. And so came a time when Goliath was terrorizing the Israelites, and everybody was scared. All the soldiers were scared and running, and so Goliath was having a field day, just killing up folk. And so Saul, the king, he made a decree like, is there anybody around that would go challenge this giant of the Philistines? And if you do and you kill him, I'll make you rich. You can have one of my daughters. You can even I'll let your whole family, they won't even have to pay taxes for the rest of their life. Don't have to fool with the IRS or worry about the publicans. So David said, I'm back here on the backside of this place with your dirty sheep. Everybody else get to do what they want to do. And I know the Lord has tested me back here. I've killed bears and lions with my own hand. And I know I serve a mighty God. So he said, well, what do I have to lose? So he stepped right on up. I can see him now, probably about this tall. He said, I'm going to take the challenge on. And he decided not to use one of the mighty weapons of warfare that they had, the swords and spears and big old shields and helmets and all that stuff. He said, man, just give me what I know. Give me a couple of flat rocks, kind of like the kind we like to skip out on the water and and count how many times it hops. I think I had a 7 hopper. Anybody beat 7? But he decided, what do I have to lose? Just, I can die standing up for Jesus, or yes, I'm going to get all the riches. I'm going to have it made. And as a result, he ended up becoming the king of the Israelites. Yes, let me see. Let's go to the New Testament. Let's go see what Peter did. Peter went to jail, And that's in Acts 12, 4 to 22. I want to peep at it right quick to make sure what the storyline was about. But he was put in jail, and the people that knew him, his disciples, and the rest of the church were sorely afraid. They were so afraid that they said, we're going to shut in, we're going to have us a prayer meeting, we're going to pray for Peter to get out of this situation. And Peter was in jail, he just chilled, he laid down, went to sleep, you know. And the angel of the Lord showed up and escorted him right on out. And he made it back to the house where they were praying. Showed up, and the lady came to the door, and she couldn't believe it. She was so surprised she didn't even let him in. She ran to go tell everybody else. And he's out there knocking like, let me in here. I don't want him to come get me. I'm ready to get off the street. And the people that prayed for him knew there wasn't anything physically they could do. But they decided to pray and believe God. My testimony was when I was in Europe. And I got really tired. I had the job. I was driving a big Mercedes. I was making good money. And I thought, well, I got some money, extra money to party. And so partying was the thing I loved to do. Everywhere you turn, there was a bar or something. I was in the big city, so I chose to take advantage of as much of it as I could. I'm single, why not? But one day, I was driving home 2 o'clock in the morning from a friend's house, and I got pulled over. And they said one of my tail lights is out. It's funny how some of the simplest things can cause your life to make changes, sharp turns. And as a result of that stop, they found dope in my car, and I was drunk, So as a result of that, my job found out. They fired me, but they called it, what they put on pink slip, for personal reasons. That's a kind way of saying bye-bye,